Imagine building a beautiful house, brick by brick, with your own two hands. You pour your soul into every detail, working day and night. But when you finally step back to admire your creation, you realize you've forgotten to build a door. You've built yourself a prison. This isn't just a metaphor. For millions of entrepreneurs, it's a daily reality. Recent studies paint a stark picture of the modern founder's journey. A staggering 72% of entrepreneurs are directly impacted by a mental health condition. Nearly half have experienced burnout in just the last month. They start their businesses chasing the dream of freedom. Financial freedom, time freedom, creative freedom. But the data shows they often find the exact opposite. A gilded cage of their own making, where they work longer hours and sleep less than ever before. So, what is this invisible force that so often turns the dream of freedom into a reality of burnout? And more importantly, is there a blueprint to escape? Have you ever considered that the final moments before you drift off to sleep are among the most powerful for your mind? There's a quiet magic, backed by neuroscience, happening in those moments. A process called sleep-dependent memory consolidation, where new knowledge crystallizes into lasting wisdom. That's the principle this channel is built on. We learn, then we rest, and we grow. The link to that science, by the way, is waiting for you in the description. Tonight, we're exploring the blueprint for that escape. It's found within the framework of Buyback Your Time by serial entrepreneur and coach Dan Martell. Martell argues that the prison isn't the business, it's a broken mindset and a lack of systems. And he provides a powerful, step-by-step method to not just manage your time, but to literally buy it back. Chapter 1. Diagnosing the addiction to chaos. The core problem, as Martell sees it, is that many entrepreneurs are, consciously or not, addicted to chaos. They may have come from unstable backgrounds or simply thrived in the early, frantic days of their startup. They become masters of putting out fires, and so they keep lighting them. This addiction manifests as what Martell calls time assassins, deeply ingrained habits that sabotage growth. The common mistake is believing that this hustle, being the hero who dives in to solve every problem, is the path to success. But it's a trap. These habits, which may have been assets at one point, eventually become the biggest liability. Let's look at these assassins not as abstract concepts, but as real-world archetypes. Consider the early Steve Jobs, a visionary, a genius, but by all accounts, an obsessive micromanager in his initial tenure at Apple. He was famously reluctant to delegate and had to have the final say on every detail, down to the specific yellow gradient on a single icon in an app. This autocratic leadership style created a high-pressure environment of insane work hours and harsh criticism. This is the perfect embodiment of Martell's supervisor and speed demon time assassins. This approach can, and did, produce revolutionary products, but it also burns people out, stifles the creativity of others. And as his biographer Walter Isaacson suggests, it may have held Apple back from even greater success in its early days by fostering ill will and a lack of teamwork. The personality traits that allow someone to survive a chaotic youth or thrive in the early, chaotic stages of a startup, like hypervigilance, a need for control, and rapid-fire decision-making, are the very things that become time assassins, preventing the company from scaling. The behavior that was once a survival mechanism has outlived its usefulness. Then there are the fear-driven assassins. The staller, who is paralyzed by indecision, and the saver, who hoards money and avoids necessary investments. This creates a vicious cycle we see mirrored in the data. Entrepreneurs consistently report work-life balance and financial worries as their top stressors. Yet, when faced with a cash shortfall, what's the first thing 50% of them do? They cut their own salaries. They refuse to invest in the very help that could solve the problem. They believe they are saving money, but they are spending their most valuable and non-renewable asset, their time. The first step to freedom, then, is a conscious audit. It's admitting you might be your own jailer. The chaos isn't just happening to you. It's being managed and often manufactured by you. The takeaway is to ask yourself honestly, which of these assassins am I letting run the show in my business? Chapter 2. The Buyback Principle. Pricing your freedom. So if you're the jailer, how do you get the key? It starts with a question. What if you could put a price tag on your freedom? What is 1 hour of your time actually worth? This is the core of Martell's Buyback Principle. A system designed to make delegation logical, not emotional. It begins with a simple but profound calculation: your buyback rate. The formula is straightforward. Take your total annual earnings, salary, profits, the works, and divide by 0, which is roughly the number of work hours in a year. Let's say you earn 400 a year. That gives you a baseline rate of 200 per hour. But Martell adds a crucial twist. He suggests you divide that number by 4. In this case, that's 50 per hour. This is your true buyback rate. It's the absolute maximum you should ever pay someone else to do a task that you shouldn't be doing. Any task that can be done for less than this rate must be delegated. This isn't just a clever trick. It's the core philosophy of some of the world's most effective and, notably, calm companies. Take Basecamp, the project management software company. Its founders, Jason Fried and David Heinemeier Hansen, have built their entire company culture around fiercely protecting their employees' time and attention. They view meetings as a toxic last resort and have made asynchronous, long-form writing the default for communication. Why? Because they instinctively understand that interruptions and low-value tasks are poison to deep, productive work. They are ruthless about eliminating them so their team can focus purely on high-value creation. To help you identify these tasks, Martell provides a framework he calls the drip matrix. Imagine a 4-quadrant grid. The vertical axis is your energy, from draining at the bottom to energizing at the top. The horizontal axis is revenue, from low on the left to high on the right. Your goal is to live in the top 2 quadrants, production and investment. You do this by systematically eliminating the bottom 2. You delegate the low revenue, energy draining tasks, and you hire people to replace you in the high revenue but energy draining tasks. Think of yourself as a portfolio manager for your time. Your buyback rate is your non-negotiable rule. You would never personally manage a stock that yields less than your minimum required return. You'd put that money in a low-cost index fund. In the same way, you should never personally perform a task that costs less than your buyback rate. You delegate it, The benefit here is profound clarity. Suddenly, every task on your plate has a clear yes or no. The decision is no longer emotional, it's mathematical. This single number is your key to unlocking the cage. If you're finding this framework clarifying, imagine what else you could learn by shifting your perspective. Take a moment to hit that subscribe button and join us on this journey to work smarter, not harder. Chapter 3. The Replacement Ladder. Your ascent to CEO. Once you've calculated your buyback rate and identified the tasks to eliminate, the next question is, who do you hire, and in what order? Martell provides a roadmap for this called the replacement ladder. But before we break it down, let's look at a real-world story of this in action. In the early 2010s, a small gaming company had developed an internal communication tool they'd built for themselves. It was promising, but the founders were engineers, not designers. Instead of trying to do it all, they did something radical. They outsourced the entire design and the creation of the beta version of their new product, which they called Slack, to a Canadian design firm named MetaLab. This single decision was transformative. It's a perfect example of climbing the replacement ladder. The ladder has several rungs, representing entire functions of the business. The first rung is administration, hiring an assistant. The second is delivery, hiring someone to deliver your core product or service. The third is marketing, and the fourth is leadership, like an operations manager. The founders of Slack didn't get stuck on the delivery rung, trying to design the product themselves even though it wasn't their expertise. They bought back their time by hiring world-class experts. This allowed them to immediately jump to the higher rungs and focus on strategy, fundraising, and vision. The result? MetaLab's feedback was crucial in creating a user-friendly tool, and Slack went on to become a multi-billion-dollar company acquired for $27 billion. We see a similar pattern with WhatsApp, which outsourced its early development to talented engineers in Russia, allowing the founders to focus on core operations and customer support, leading to a $19 billion acquisition. This reveals a critical distinction. The latter isn't just about delegation. It's about strategic abdication. You're not just handing off tasks. You're handing off entire functions of the business until you are left with only one job: being the architect of the vision. This works when you outsource a non-core function to an expert. The strategy can backfire, however, if a founder outsources a core competency without having the expertise to manage it. We saw this with a startup called Patient Docs, whose non-technical founders outsourced all product development, burning through their cash because they couldn't effectively guide the process. Martell's ladder is, in effect, a risk mitigation framework. It forces you to replace the lowest value, least core function first: administration. You only move up the ladder once you've freed up the capacity to manage the next stage of delegation effectively. Think of it like a rocket jettisoning its booster stages. Each function you successfully replace is a heavy stage falling away, propelling you higher and faster towards your ultimate destination. So, think about your business right now. Which rung are you stuck on? Let us know in the comments below. Chapter 4. The Leader's Playbook. Building a self-running company. Here is a bold claim. You can build a company that runs and even grows without your daily involvement. Many founders believe this is impossible. They're trapped by the thought, no one can do it as well as I can. This single belief is the final lock on the cage door and the biggest bottleneck to true scale. For proof that it's possible, we can look at Procter, Gamble, P. G is, for all intents and purposes, a leadership factory. An incredible 99% of their senior leaders are promoted from within the company. How is this possible? They don't just hire people, they build them. They have a system, a playbook for everything. From an employee's first day, they are on a leadership track, gaining skills through a powerful 70-20-10 development model. 70% of learning comes from hands-on experience in different roles. 20% comes from mentors and colleagues, and only 10% comes from formal training courses. This is the macro version of what Martell calls creating playbooks for your business. A playbook is simply a detailed guide on how to execute a specific task or process. By standardizing processes from how to answer the phone to how to run a marketing campaign, you make it easy to train new employees, ensure consistent quality, and empower your team to act without you. The fear, of course, is that creating these systems is time-consuming. But the PG case shows that the return on that investment is massive. It creates a self-sustaining culture of excellence that frees senior leaders to focus on the future, not on fighting the fires of the present. Martell's frameworks, like the clear method for giving feedback, or the 1-3-1 rule for empowering your team to solve their own problems, are simply tools to help you build your own, smaller scale version of the P-G machine. You don't need to be a global giant to do this. You just need to start today. Document one process. Create one playbook. Just one. That is how you stop being the company's savior and start being its architect. If these deep dives into the systems of real-world companies are valuable to you, make sure you're subscribed, because this is the level of analysis we bring to you every single week. So, let's bring it all together. We've seen that the path from the chaos of the operator to the empire of the architect requires a clear sequence of actions. We must first diagnose our personal time assassins, then calculate our buyback rate to make delegation a simple mathematical decision. From there, we climb the replacement ladder to strategically abdicate entire functions of the business. And finally, we create playbooks to build a team that can run and thrive without us. From everything we've talked about tonight, I challenge you to pick just one idea. Just one. Maybe it's tracking your time and energy for 1 week. Maybe it's calculating your buyback rate tomorrow morning. Or maybe it's documenting one single repetitive process in your business. Commit to trying it. And now, as we bring our analysis to a close, let's allow these ideas to settle. It's time to quiet the analytical mind and speak directly to the part of you that learns as you rest. Let my voice be your guide as you drift into a peaceful, productive sleep, ready to reclaim your time and your life. Breathe in deeply, holding it for a moment, and as you exhale, release the day. Let go of the worries, the lists, the pressures. Let these words wash over you, planting seeds of clarity and confidence that will blossom tomorrow. My time has immense value. I protect it fiercely. I am an architect, not an operator. I release the need to control every outcome. I am worthy of rest and rejuvenation. I trust in the process of letting go. My business grows stronger as I step back. I am a leader who builds other leaders. I choose freedom over the illusion of control. My calm mind makes the best decisions. I am designing a life of purpose and presence. I release the belief that I must do everything myself. I give myself permission to focus only on what matters most. I am becoming more of who I am meant to be. I am free. I am focused. I am at peace.